Hi, I'm Lindsay, and welcome to Lindsay's Creative Journeys. Today, I wanted to take a concept that most people probably enjoy about using AI and put it into another context that most people might completely miss what AI could actually do. Everybody knows about ChatGPT, but very few people understand how it actually thinks. And so today, I'm going to do a high-level understanding of this and reframe it into a template for a reality or a life simulation. I'll come back to that in a moment. However, once you understand the simple idea behind AI, something incredible becomes really clear. Transformers, the T in ChatGPT, Transformer AI, the algorithm inside AI, might describe far more than just logic and relationships in machines. They might reflect how humans actually think, how energy behaves, and maybe even how reality processes information. It might describe far more than just logic and relationships in machines. They might reflect how humans actually think, how energy behaves, and maybe even how reality processes information. However, before I go any further, this whole concept of using Transformer AI as a behavioural backbone for a full-scale life simulation is something that I have started exploring on my own. I haven't seen anyone else frame it quite this way, so if you're watching this and you're a developer, researcher, studio, or company looking to explore this idea in more depth, feel free to reach out. And yes, I'd love to collaborate. And if this concept is useful to you, I'd love for you to reach out so that we can take this concept even further together. So some background behind this concept. Recently I was thinking about life in general, about reality, about the decisions people make and things make. The things that just automatically happen, what makes things click or pull away, combine or continue. In effect, what would make life a simulation? If we were to create a Grand Theft Auto, registered trademark of Rockstar, for reality, what would be required? Not just having a world of NPCs. For those that don't know, an NPC is a non-playable character, which is a concept used in many games today. With my engineering head, I started thinking about what would be stored, what would be processed, what would happen if things out of the blue happened. How would those incidents be recorded? How would the effect of those incidents actually affect other things in the live simulation? Quickly, my brain went to the memory requirements, the processing requirements. They would be astronomical. What templates would I use to make running the simulation cheaper? Use of behavior trees and state machines to make systems cheap in the simulation, but obviously people that have a detailed enough eye, they quickly see through it. It's something that people would quickly walk away with not feeling it would be real. And on top of that, how would we build the rules? Not just the physical rules, the rules of the senses, the rules of society, the things that make the simulation a simulation. We can't program everything, so learning to continuously build up the simulation would be key. Then I started to see some parallels with LLMs such as ChatGPT, specifically the Transformer AI model. Suddenly I came to realize that a lot of the architecture and design issues that I was contemplating quickly solved, and the use of Transformer AI actually became quite critical in the way things would work. Not just because it predicts text, but because the Transformer model happens very similarly to how living system models work, at least the abstraction. So what does a Transformer model really do? Let's break the whole thing down into one simple idea. A transformer is a system that understands relationships. Let's break this down even further. It takes input, usually words, and instead of reading them in a straight line, it looks at each word individually within a sentence. It then looks to see how each of these words relate to every other word. After that, it does something called attention. It takes an input, usually words, and instead of reading them as a straight line, it looks at how every word relates to every other word. So it actually calculates each word against every other word, and then it calculates something called attention. So this would ask the questions, what should I focus on, what matters right now, and how does this connect to everything else? And the way that it decides what's important is through learned weights. So this is usually done with some pre-training. So just to bring this back to the human brain, because I think it makes the idea a bit simpler to think about. So learned weights in an AI model works almost the same way as neural circuits strengthen in your brain. Every time you repeat memory or an emotional pattern, the neurons fire together. As they fire together, their connections strengthen. The stronger the connections, the faster recognition, the more influence that you would have on a certain behavior or action. So transformers do the same thing. If a pattern shows up a lot, then you'll get stronger weights. So this is the weights as a result of the attention. Rare or unhelpful patterns will also get weaker weights. So in a way, a transformer is like a compressed simulation of how our neurons learn, just running at a digital speed instead of a biological speed. So the second part to that is understanding tokens and weights. So this is the hidden key in AI. So everything is broken down into tokens, tiny units of meaning. So the system decides which tokens matter, which ones influence others, which patterns should form the output. But here's the surprising part. We do the same thing. Humans process words, emotions, memories, sensations, energy, all as tokens of experience, just from a biological perspective. And our attention, just like the transformer model, assigns weights. This matters, this doesn't, focus here. So the human mind mirrors the transformer. Think about it. When you're having a conversation, when you're solving a problem, when you're reading someone's emotions, you don't just process things linearly. Your brain jumps between ideas, recalls memories, senses feelings, and weighs importance, all at the same time. That's basically the transformer algorithm. We were doing it all long before AI existed. And this happens a lot within science and modeling, where we take an abstraction from something that we experience in real life, and we bring it back into something that we understand. So with some basics at a really high level brought into the picture, I thought I'd relate it to some energetic, spiritual, and quantum physics parallels to just broaden the picture, broaden people's minds on how this fits. This is actually where I find it gets interesting. So with many energetic and spiritual traditions, they say that everything is connected, reality is built from patterns, intention changes outcomes, and consciousness interacts with the world in subtle ways. On the surface, it does sound mystical, but some of these ideas run surprisingly close to what we're finding in quantum physics. So the first link is everything is connected. In quantum physics, particles can be entangled. Change one, and the others react instantly, even light years away. That's the same pattern found in transformers, all tokens influence each other, human intuition, feeling connected to someone when you first meet them, and energy work, everything is part of that one field. Not the same mechanism, but the same relationship logic. The second link is in probability waves, so using possibilities, not certainties. At the quantum level, particles don't exist as solid objects. They exist as probability waves, a cloud of possibilities. Transformers operate the same way. Predictions are the probability clouds. Attention is the probability weighting. Meaning emerges only after the system chooses. Coming back to the spiritual traditions, they say a similar thing. Intention collapses possibility into reality. Focus creates form, and your attention shapes your path. Shout out to all those manifestation videos out there. In all three, focus determines the outcome. And with the third physics link, the observer effect. So the attention changes the results. In quantum experiments, the act of observing a system changes how it behaves. This mirrors how a transformer focuses attention to refine meaning, how humans bring clarity to focusing on a thought or emotion. This mirrors how a transformer focuses attention to refine meaning, how humans bring clarity by focusing on a thought or emotion, and how energetic practices say energy flows where attention goes. Again, not literally the same physics, but the pattern is very similar, almost unmistakably. The final physics link is around the hidden layers of reality. Most of the universe is invisible to us. Quantum fields, vacuum energy, subatomic states, we don't see them with the naked eye. We need tools to see at best. Transformers also operate internally in hidden layers, embeddings, attention matrices, latent spaces. And many of the spiritual traditions say the same. Unseen layers influence the visible world. When you start talking about the different chakras and the energies in spiritual practices, these things aren't necessarily seen by people, but people do feel them and they are there. So whether we're looking at particles, AI, or consciousness, the same structure appears. Reality emerges from relationships, attentions, and weighted possibilities. So what's the big idea, you ask? Here's the idea I want to leave with you. Transformers may be more than an AI breakthrough. They may reflect a deeper blueprint about how reality itself processes meaning. Whether we're talking about human thought, energetic awareness, spiritual systems, or the way experiences shape us, the same pattern shows up. Input goes into attention, goes into weighting, as in W-E-I-G-H-T, that goes into meaning, which goes into output. This pattern seems ancient. AI just seems to make it visible now. So there's a lot of information in what I've described today. It's quite a huge concept. As I say, I don't know who's come across this or thought about this before, but if you are coming across this, I would love to hear from you. And if there's any white papers, etc. out there that come across these concepts. So if you'd like me to go deeper into how transformer AI models work in reality, or the relationships between quantum physics, energetics, or spiritual practices, let me know in the comments below, and hope you enjoyed. Until next time.